How are you feeling about putting it out in this day and time and place?
Well, I'm excited. I mean, we kind of sat on it for a while. We recorded it a year ago, and usually it's more of like a 6 month delay, after your album's all finished. And
Yeah.
we could give it a little more time to see what happened and make sure that touring was possible. And so it's been a while. I'm just excited that it's finally coming out.
And touring seems to be possible at this point in time.
I guess so. I mean, we're doing it.
There you go. Have you done any shows lately, or are you still waiting?
We've done 2 shows, and we have another one at the end of this month, and then we have a West Coast tour.
Right.
Yeah.
And what were the shows like that you've done so far?
Yeah, they were both outdoor shows, which was great. Yeah, so I've yet to see how it feels to play an indoor show.
Fair enough. Yeah, it should be exciting. And so when you perform these songs for the first time live, are you looking forward to that, or is it kind of daunting? Do they take different shapes? How do you approach it?
It's a little daunting. Especially since we spent so much time doing overdubs for the album. It's like,
right.
There's a lot that we can't play live. So we have to really rework the songs and see, what I feel like we usually don't even really know how a song is really going to feel until we've played it for a while on tour. They always kind of shift for the first couple months. So yeah, I'm excited. It's fun to have some new stuff to play.
I'm sure it will be. So tell me a little bit about how the record was put together in general, like what kind of environment you guys made it in. Was it over a long period of time, a short period of time? Were you all together, or was it swapping files?
Yeah.
What?
Kind of a little bit of everything. Like we started demoing the album in December 2019. So so we were together when we demoed about half of the record, and then we had plans to get together in, I think, April of 2020 to demo the rest, and that didn't happen. And so it was a lot of just trial and error with different, trying out different apps that were supposed to let you play music together, and none of them worked for us.
Because there's a certain amount of latency, isn't there? Like the delay.
Yeah.
That's got to be driving you crazy.
Any latency, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, even having a Zoom conversation, I mean, I've done hundreds of them now, but I remember it was just like, sometimes there's this, you got to wait and people talk over each other and it's awkward and stuff. So it's got to be even worse when you're trying to make music.
Yeah, it was pretty much impossible. So what we ended up doing was just kind of emailing each other demos that we had made individually. And Lena, the bass player, just played drums on all the songs and bass. And then she would send it to me and I'd put the guitar down, and then we'd send it to Alice and she'd put the keyboard down, and then we'd kind of do a similar thing with vocals. So it was long and drawn out and complicated, but we've been a band for almost a decade now. So it felt possible, It felt like
we can do this. Yeah. It's nice to have a bass player who can double on drums, huh?
Yeah, really handy.
I want to see her do that live, though. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you had a guy named Adrian who helped out producing the record, and he comes from a hip hop background, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of fascinating. Tell me about him and what he added to the mix.
Yeah, he although he, the music that he makes and most of the music that he records, the vast majority of the music he records, I guess, is more in the hip hop realm. I think that what really got him into production was not necessarily, the end product, but the samples that were being used in a lot of hip hop music. So he was really excited by a lot of the same music that has inspired La Luz, a lot of the same music from the 60s and
like
early
what?
70s. And like a big one for him is like David Axelrod.
Right.
Like I'm trying to think of other, I can't speak for him, but for me, like early American soul music is pretty much the the gold standard of music.
Right. Yeah, well, it's good stuff, there's no doubt about it.
and certainly, garage rock from that same period, and really like rock and roll from all over the world. And I'm also super into Brazilian Tropicalia, and I know that's a big influence for Adrian as well. So there were a lot of overlapping influences. I'm
surprised Brazil keeps coming up all of a sudden with all these people I'm talking to. It's like, really? There's like this groundswell of Brazilian music interest. It's amazing. How long have you been into it? How'd you get into it?
How did I get into it? I don't know. I think I've gotten into it little by little. I think I heard Os Mutantes probably a decade ago, but then yeah, I'm trying to think. Like one of my favorite albums is this guy Nelson Angelo E Joyce, this record called Nelson Angelo E Joyce, and that I just heard maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but that's kind of the one that I always come back to. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's true though. I think in the last few years, it's been something that I've listened to more for some reason. I don't know. Maybe there's something in the air.
Could be. Strange place. So there's kind of a rural feel to the record. Like the first song is called "In the Country," but yet a psychedelic feel to it, which is kind of unique. Is that kind of an approach? Did you think about that consciously going into it to mix those kind of attitudes?
Yeah, I think it's certainly unconscious. I live in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
To me, I think the slowness of this time and not being able to tour, and also for me becoming a new mom, it's
congratulations.
Really, yeah. So it's slowed everything down in such a way that I've really been able to tune into how psychedelic nature is. I think that
right.
I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way that it would be a little more surreal and psychedelic in this place where humans aren't, because I think that society is just like it's something we're more familiar with than or most of us former city dwellers are more familiar with than just actually being out in the wilderness. It feels very strange and mysterious.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of scenes in the video for "In the Country" that kind of make an example of that. There's that turtle disappearing into the water. I think when lyrically the same thing is happening, and then those ants carrying that giant bug carcass across. I was like, whoa. Did you have much to do with making the video?
That was pretty much Lena, our bass player. Yeah, can't take credit for that one.
Okay. Can you take credit for watching cartoons?
For the video?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Man.
No, but I love the way it turned out.
It's pretty cool.
Watching cartoons.
Yeah, we went all out for that one.
And what did you guys as the band have to do to get that made?
It was actually our manager's concept, and but he just wrote this long email. I've got this idea for watching cartoons, and when we read it, we were just like, "That's awesome!" But I don't know how we would ever do that. It just felt so like out of our budget, This was kind of like, that's how are we going to do that? And so it's we got a little bit scrappy, but the director that we worked with, Nathan Castile, he it was kind of his vision in the end. He built the set, the room that we were in. He actually built it with wood and paint and did the whole thing and built the props from scratch. So it was I think that's that's why it feels like such a strange environment, because it was all created specifically for the video.
Yeah, because these days you assume everything's just computer generated.
Yeah.
And I love, so you got Scooby-Doo and the Powerpuff Girls in there. So are they your favorite cartoons?
I think I did like Scooby-Doo a lot. I think Ren and Stimpy is probably my favorite
There you
cartoon.
go. Idiot. Yes. I love Ren and Stimpy. I have two children who were they were like in their 8 or 9 years old when Ren and Stimpy came out, and I was watching it with them, and it blew their minds. It's like,
I watched it with my dad too when I was a kid.
yeah, there you go. Anyway, now another tune I wanted to touch on was Lazy Eyes and Dune. So it kind of reminded me of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds a little bit. And there's a Dune reference, and Dune seems to be on everybody's mind these days. So maybe you can give me a little backstory there.
A couple of times to make sure that I knew that no one compares to my little Dune.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that the album is coming out the same day as the movie Dune. It's just a really weird coincidence.
Yep. It's a whole marketing strategy. Come on, I know it's all planned out. It's a conspiracy.
We should have taken better advantage of it if it was a strategy. It's I guess it's a happy accident if we want to decide it's happy. I don't know.
Right.
Hopefully the movie's good.
Yeah. Have you seen the original?
I have seen the original. It was okay. It
Yes.
wasn't great.
I saw it back in the day, and I hadn't read the book or anything. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? You know, but it kind of stays with you, though.
Did you know that Jodorowsky was supposed to make Dune before David got offered
before David Lynch?
Yeah, there's a whole documentary about that, and it's great. That's actually better than the movie Dune.
I have to look at that then. That's
Jodorowsky's Dune. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, Dune is my son's middle name, so that song is about that's a song that I wrote for him.
Very cool. What did he think of it?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if he likes that one or not. He's 2 years old, so
it's hard to tell. Yeah, he's probably not got his analytical skills sorted out yet, and probably can't write so well either.
Yeah, his favorite song is "Devil Woman" by Marty Robbins.
Ooh, so, I have that 45 in the other room, actually.
Really?
Yes. It's on Columbia Records, if I remember correctly.
Sounds right.
And then Cliff Richard had "Devil Woman," but it's a different Devil Woman.
Oh, it's a good song.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. And so you have a couple of instrumentals that kind of help. So when you're putting the record together, did you think in terms of how it's going to sequence, and you're going to have this here and that there, and it's going to go from one to another?
Yeah. I mean, we knew that we wanted to have I wanted to have a reprise of Lazy Eyes and Dune, and so Spider House, the last track on the album, is sort of like the theme of that, but we just kind of made it more of a rocker. And I just like the idea of this repeating theme, sort of making the movie feel a little more, or the album feel a little more like a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think In the Country felt like the right opener, because it really felt like it drew you into the world of the album in a cool way.
Right.
A lot of just the sort of almost ambient noise of that track, the sort of like the bug noise, things that to me sound like bugs and, birds, and just the weird nature sounds. It sort of puts right in the scene, and then it just kind of opens up from there.
Right.
So yeah. And, we try to put like more of the songs that were like, okay, this is like, draw people in with some hits. Whereas I think the B-side is a little more strange and dreamy.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Well, here in New Zealand, we don't have many animals, but we do have cicadas. So that's the sound of the wild for us. We hear quite a. Now, speaking of strange and dreamy, in the B-side, there's a track called I Won't Hesitate, which reminded me, I don't know if you're familiar with the Janettes, which like a 60s girl group. Sally Go Round the Roses was their big hit. And they had a very distinctive kind of eerie, it wasn't the girl group sound that like Phil Spector, it was kind of something else. So
check that out.
Yeah, check it out. But tell me about your version of I Won't Hesitate and what you're thinking about.
Yeah. I think for that one, I was kind of thinking about the Kinks and that's one of my favorite bands, and just even the Monkees a little bit.
Nothing wrong with the Monkees. They made some darn good records, man.
Yeah, and we made a video for that song, and that the Monkees were kind of the inspiration for that video. So that's going to come out on record release day.
So the winds have changed, and your blooming blooms becoming fashion. Beauty of the day, it's another world from where you've last been. They love you today, so they're gone away. You will know me by the way. I won't ever hesitate.
Cool. So the three of you, how do you work together when you're in the studio? Is somebody in charge? Does everybody have ideas? Do you guys take on roles?
Yeah, well, I don't think that anyone's necessarily in charge. I come up with the initial demos and bring them to the group, and I write the lyrics, and but then from there the songs always change and evolve, in ways that I wouldn't have been able to make them myself. I think that we all just have different approaches to music and different styles and different influences. So yeah, it's nice to just kind of watch the songs blossom when the group gets involved.
Do you feel that you function as a democracy?
We do, yeah, we do. There's always things that it's like, okay, this is this person's specialty, like they're really the one that gets the final say. But yeah, it's basically a democracy.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing all that with me. Appreciate it. Hope everything goes well on release day and the record does what you wanted to do.
Yeah, thanks, Marty. Good to talk to you.
You too.